Thank you for joining us today as we talk about one of the most important aspects for the NRA, keeping ranges open. The NRA Range Services Department offers resources to public and private ranges across the country, including on-site assistance, educational seminars, and grants. This webinar will provide tips and advice to potential and current range owners and operators in identifying potential problems associated with range development, environmental issues, and safety. Throughout our presentation, we encourage you guys to interact with our speakers by typing questions and comments using the question panel on the side of your screen. We will be answering questions live both during the event and after the presentation. So don't worry if you missed anything during this webinar. All this is going to be recorded and be posted on our website for you guys to go back and view at a different time. Or if you want to send a link out to your other colleagues to listen to. I know there's a lot of information to cover today, and I know you guys have a lot of questions to ask, so let's get started. Today's speakers are John Lytle, he's the manager for the Range Services Department here at the NRA, and Eric Whitescarver, Senior Program Coordinator. All right, guys, take it away.
Well, thank you very much, son. Like I said, my name is John Lytle, and we have Eric Whitescarver here. We're going to kind of cover some of the things for maintaining ranges, where it's kind of it's a broad subject, but we're going to try to narrow some of the stuff down and some of the important things that you really need to cover. So some of the things we're talking about is continue the community relationships, some of the health and safety standards, some programs, events for promoting your range and your club, safety plan, standard operating procedures, and preparing and planning for tasks that you're going to need on your range as you're running it. So the first thing we're going to kind of cover is some of the community relationships. Continual outreach to the businesses and to their employees is very important. Having that strong business camaraderie is very important for the shooting sports itself as well as in the community. Because they'll be there to feel more comfortable with you. The kids will feel more comfortable being around you and learning from you and learning from all your employees or volunteers. And some of the ways you can do that is sponsoring with children's sporting events or schools. You can sponsor a corporate or a business shooting event there, hosting a shooting event if your range is built to host the competition. If not, you could always probably do some range improvements to where you can actually build that range to host that actual competition, either national or local-wise. You can provide some opportunities for other businesses to be able to actually advertise at your range. Rather you have a little bulletin board for business cards like some like dental offices and things like that do, or you can actually have like a poster board where they can put a whole flyer up or a whole poster up and advertise, just like you can advertise at theirs. You can host a Girl Scout or a Boy Scout of America. The Explorer groups have shooting actual different places in the United States where they hold events for Explorer groups. Iwanas are very big with the Eddie Eagle, but they also host some of the shooting events for them to learn how to safely handle firearms, as well as the 4-H. They have their own different shooting competitions. So if you let them use it at your range or hold competitions at your range, that would be very, very beneficial for the actual community itself. Promoting with Eddie Eagle to help out the schools to get Eddie Eagle there, provides some people to help out as they come over as Eddie Eagle comes there and visits their school, or even run a hosted Eddie Eagle event there for all the schools in your area. Hosting a blog and some forums in your community to kind of give people the warm and fuzzy that shooting sports is a very fun and a very safe atmosphere on the range, as well as within the shooting community itself and the different events that you have. Some of the other things that you really need to take consideration that you need to, for the community to feel safe, is the health and safety standards. Range owners and the presidents need to really look into the 29 CFR 1910 that's come out, which is the hazardous community standard, and you need to keep. They used to be able to keep the material safety data sheet manual inside your range, but they no longer have that. It's called the safety data sheet. and they have new standard which is called the HCS, the Hazardous Community Standard, which everybody has to be compliant with the label system, both in around your range, the training for all your employees and volunteers in your range, as well as all the labeling for any one of your chemicals that you use or cleaning materials that you use in, around your range.
And let me make sure, is this information that everyone can find online, or is it through the range source book, or like how would someone like research this information right here? If they had
well, there's a couple places you can go to. You can go on to the NEOSH website and look at that. The OSHA website has some of those, or you can actually go to some of the companies that actually help people out there throughout the United States to be compliant, which is J.J. Keller. They can actually help you get the labels. They can help you get all the training, and they'll keep you current on a regular basis for all of these hazmats and all of the environmental.
And let me make sure we understand this correctly. So what you're telling me is that this is actually a replacement for the MSDS.
Yes, the safety data sheets that you have to have on every one of your chemicals, and how you label all of your hazardous material or chemicals that you might use. It may be Windex, it might be ammonia. However it affects the employee or the volunteer, they need to know how. You got to train them what the effects are and how to handle it if something happens. Take them to the emergency room, let them drink water, flush their eye out, whatever. But that training and those training records need to be actually kept in your files on a regular basis now. And as June 1st, 2015, OSHA is going to require everybody to have that.
Right. Okay. And so there's a fine if they didn't. They would probably fine this if
Yes.
you didn't have labels.
Yes, definitely. The other thing is the OSHA standards we're talking about, besides the labeling system there, we're also going to talk about blood testing levels for lead. It's always good to have your volunteers or your employees, once you first hire them, to have their actual lead level tested, and that we have a baseline for them. It's also good to have a baseline for hearing, which you see down here too, for all your employees as well. Now, the one thing that you can do is you can send all of your employees to be to the doctor to make sure that they are already fitted and able to wear a respirator, especially if they're going to be down there handling the lead, or they're going to be down there separating brass and things like that. So there's different things that you need to make sure that each one of your employees and your volunteers that you're actually holding the files for each one of them. The other thing is for environmental stewardship plan. This is becoming more and more prevalent as there's more and more ranges that are being encroached upon, and people are, developers are calling the EPA, or they're calling OSHA, or they're calling their local, even the Corps of Engineers, saying that there's different things, so you need to make sure that where the water table is, and that they're testing water up and down a range, up and down from your range. Any type of litter or anything like that, you need to make sure that you're trying to prevent anything coming off of the property and going into any type of thing. So environmental stewardship plan, you can get it at NSSF on the website there, and it has a basic template that you can fill it in. Or you can get an actual consultant to come out there and actually do one for you. The same thing with the lead reclamation plan. It's always good to have a lead reclamation plan in place, and there's no set standard of you have to do it every year, you have to do it every 5 years, because you have a manufacturer backstop or you have an earthen backstop. It's whatever you choose to do. There's companies that will come in and do the whole reclamation part, and you can pay them to do it, or there's different companies that will come in and they can reclaim it for you and give you a portion of the lead, so you can actually make a profit and put that profit right back into the into your range. We have a question here.
We have a question here, and it says, it is my understanding that blood lead level testing is not required unless there is reason to suspect an issue or action level. Is that correct? That is actually correct. To my knowledge, there would not be any pop quiz testing, or they would not show up on your range unless it came up in court, unless there was charges brought up or there was a complaint about the safety of or some sort of pollution. The other thing is, that brings up a good point about why to get those baseline testings done. If you get those baseline testings done with your employees and possibly volunteers, that lowers the likelihood of having someone make claims against the range that aren't substantiatable, or that cannot be substantiated, that do not really did not happen from the range.
Now, the other thing too is that on your blood level testing, it's always going to be proactive, and that way you know where each one of your employees or each one of your volunteers are and what they're doing. Now, if they're spending 8 to 10 hours a day on the range, you probably want to test them more often. If they're just coming once a week and spending a couple hours out there and they're not doing any brass pickup or they're not doing any of the lead, recycling at all, then you don't have to test as much. But it's always good to be proactive.
Which actually is a good start for our next question. It says, would the president of a private club need to be familiar with these standards and having them in place? Actually, any person who is in charge of the club or involved with the management of the facility should be familiar with these standards, absolutely. And yes, they should definitely be in place.
And that leads us into the next section, where doing sound tests and air quality tests. You can purchase a sound tester that you look through NEOSH that they're recommended that you can have, the level 1 sound tester. You can do it on the outside of your property. If you can go into your neighbor's property and kind of do 100 yards into there, or even farther if you can, and do it at different times that you're actually firing, different types of firearms that you're firing, and take a level reading so you know where you're at and you know what you need to do, what you can do to improve it, to keep it down, the noise level in your area, so you don't have any encroachment problems, or you're showing the local authorities and the community as well as OSHA or EPA, if everybody comes out there, that you're being proactive and that you already have these and that you do it on a regular basis. It's always good to be proactive, because perception is a reality. If they see you out there and you're doing air quality tests with lipid lines, then you can, you can already know where you stand at all times. And if anybody comes in, then you can show them on a regular, that in your records on a regular basis you're testing for these, and you're making sure that you and the community are safe. The other good thing is that you should be using HEPA vacuums, indoor or outdoor, depending on your setup of your range. You should be using squeegees and not push brooms. And you can water scrub the floors or the decks, and making sure that the dust and everything remains on your property and within the range. But try to keep, we should be staying away from brooms, and because that perception is reality. If you're pushing a broom outside, then that dust can go up in somebody breathing it in and things like that. And so we want to keep that perception as that you're doing the best thing you can and keep it clean.
And it is my understanding that actually having a broom, if OSHA or the EPA was to come by the range for any reason, or have someone be on the range, that there can actually be a complaint filed, or even a pretty hefty fine. I'm not sure what the fine is, but I know it's substantial if there is a broom on the range floor. Is that correct?
That is true. You can be fined if they see if they have the broom on the actual range itself. We have a question here. We use D-lead cleaner and hand soap. Is there any other products similar out there now? There are. different types. They're always coming out with new things. Now, one thing I've learned is that if you have hand wipes, if you put a cap full of vinegar in there and close that that wipe bag for about 2 or 3 days, that's a low-cost way of using that same wipes and using them to wipe down. It doesn't cost you for the price that it costs you to go out and get de-lead. So those are one of the ways too. But yes, there are different, they're very different products out there, and you can look them up online. You can Google them, and they'll come out with different things for that. Or you can look up the NIOSH, and that kind of sends you to different areas so you can look at those things. So we're going to talk a little bit about programs and events for promoting while you're maintaining your range, to keep shooters interested, to keep shooters coming back, as well as increasing shooters coming to your actual range. One of the things that you can do is host an NRA Day event. You can get in contact with get on the NRA.org and host the NRA Days, where you can have it after you do a grand opening, after 3 or 4 months after you open up. You can probably do them maybe once a year that you can host for kids in your community. Another event is the 3-gun event. 3-gun event is getting more and more popular in different variations, and it's always good to try to get more shooters in to do the 3-gun event, because it's very active, and the kids love to be very active with that, and even adults like doing that. So you can host the 3-gun event. Women on Target, being able to have women become certified instructors and training women, that gives them more of a confidence booster, because they see other females being confident with a firearm, and they're confident, as well as they feel more comfortable being around other women, and they have a common bond whenever they go and train. You can get your kids involved in with the Youth Hunting Education Challenge program, and doing different things on your range, and helping them go out and do the different criteria that is for they can do for the challenge itself, to be prepared for it at the end of the year, which they just had the YHEC challenge here this last week. You can also host courses for hunter safety courses, and get your community involved, and work with your DNR, and do the different things with them, and help out at your range, and host them at your range, as well as concealed carry courses that you can have there. You can get with your NRA certified instructors and let them use your range. That helps, brings and promotes that commonality and that common bond as well.
And remember that there are, for some of the youth programs and some of these events, the NRA Day and some of the things that the programs that the NRA has for you to do on your range, there are grants available. So don't forget to check the NRA headquarters website, nrahq.org, and go through the program section of that and see. You'll see that there are grants for those different activities and so on.
If your range is actually
the programs website has over 100 different programs that the NRA has to offer. The one on the screen right now is just a few of the popular ones that John and Eric are touching on. But the more programs that you have at your range and your club, the more members that you'll potentially have, because one person might like to do target shooting or skeet and trap, while another person might like to just be a teacher, and then you might also be able to get more kids and women involved. So the more variety that you have, the more attractive your club is going to be to getting potential members, because in the end, sometimes people lose members of their club because they're bored. They're doing the same activities every year and every weekend. But the more that you guys expand, the more you guys incorporate into your club, that's a great way to keep these members shooting and to get new people shooting.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, these are just a few of the programs that are available out there, and I keep on looking at that 3-gun event thing. That is becoming more and more popular, so those are definitely things to look into. Having a variety of activities, especially with the youth, is extremely important. Anything you can do to get the kids out there and get mom out there, because let's be honest, folks, if we get mom out on the shooting range, the family's going to be out there. We get shooters. Not only that, but we have future shooters. That's the future of not only our gun range, but our Second Amendment and our lifestyle as a whole. So having access to those different activities and those different programs. And like I said, don't forget to look through the website and check on the different programs, because there are grants out there that are available.
The other thing is, if you want to start sanctioning competitions at your range, first you need to make sure that your range is built to host that competition. And you can either do upgrades or improvements on it to make sure that you're prepared for that, or you can actually just go in there and look at the actual competition book itself and find out how it's supposed to be set up to make sure that you actually build your range to be able to host that. We have a question here. It says, can they also fine for a broom on an outdoor range? Yes, they can. They can fine you on an outdoor range. They're actually starting to talk about OSHA inspectors who are going towards where you have to have a air quality test. And if you don't have an air quality test, that's why we're bringing this forward to you, but have an air quality test that you can get fined. So we're trying to get the word out so you guys can protect yourselves, and that you're already prepared and already have it included in your regular business procedures that we'll talk about, standard operating procedures, in a little bit. So some of the other things that we're going to talk about is the safety plan, which this kind of includes in that. It's very, very important that you have a safety plan on site, and that way everybody understands what to do, and what should be a safety plan for everybody, whether it's your employees, volunteers, or your actual patrons. It's always good to have all of your employees or your volunteers to be certified range safety officers. And you can do the NRA's range safety officer course online now. So it's a very good actual course that you can take and certification that you have. That way, it's kind of like anybody on the range, on the line, firing line, could call to cease fire. Well, if everybody's certified as a range safety officer, then they'll know whether it's in the parking lot or inside the store or right on the range itself, what's safe and what's not, and they can handle that.
And we always like to point out that everyone is a RSO. Everyone is supposed to have an eye on safety, and so to encourage as many people as possible to get those certifications is definitely good for the club. Not only are you expecting your regular patrons to call if they see anything that's unsafe, but they'll actually know what to look for, and they'll have the certification if questioned about it when they make a call or let somebody know that there's something going on. So that's definitely a plus, and could potentially be another form of revenue for the club. If you are training and doing different classes, that's another way that you can bring in revenue to the facility.
And also be able to bond some of the community relations by having other instructors out there utilizing your range doing the same thing. The other thing you need to include in your safety plan is a hold harmless agreement for each one of you, patrons or shooters or members that are with your range. The same thing with the range rules. Now, one good technique that you can do to protect your range is to each year change the color of your hold harmless and your range rules, and ensure that every one of your members or all the patrons as they come in, if they haven't done it for that new year, that they sign the range rules and they sign the hold harmless. The other thing is where you're going to put up signage, safety plans on where a person in the bathroom they read the range rules, they understand how to handle your firearm properly, the proper safety procedures for those. Any specific range rules that you might have that they need to know beyond this point. You have to have hearing protection, all those different signs you need to have outside of your property, at each firing position, as they walk into the firing positions, so they understand that when they need to put on their hearing protection and their eye protection and all those different things. The other thing is that you want to channel the patrons and the members as they come in, so that way the employees and the volunteers can actually be able to observe them more often, knowing that they're going to a certain place, a certain direction, a certain way, and they can't just roam everywhere. And so you want to also put that in your safety plan. Where do they go? What's the route they go to and from, that they can only go to and from the range? You might have multiple ranges, and you don't want to make sure that somebody's roaming out there where they don't want to be. So, you know, this signage is very important. The safety plan and telling them where they need to go and have that en route is very important. Have a schematic so all the employees and the volunteers can see that.
And with the signage, we want to make sure that we stay away from words like danger, shooting, or danger, guns. And we want to use things like caution and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. We definitely want to let them use that against us by using the word danger, because it's not a danger. It's just caution that they know that in the area somebody's actually going to be possibly firing a firearm. The other thing is that, you know, have a safety plan for every one of your employees or your one of your volunteers to be able to handle a gunshot. If something happens, you know, how to treat it, how to cordon off the area so it doesn't affect other people, or you know, what they need to do. It's always good for them to be trained on that. We have a question real quick.
We have a question here. It says, does the NRA have a general template for a hold harmless agreement for clubs and businesses? And we do not. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to give out that information, and I would definitely guide you towards discussing it with an attorney. And all youth who have ranges out there should have a relationship with legal counsel, without a doubt. That should be one of the things that you guys have on your budgeted into the cost, your yearly expenditure, and for things like that, you definitely want to discuss it with your attorney.
The other thing is that every range is different, so it's kind of hard for us to have a hold harmless agreement template for people, because every range is different. You have different shooting events, you have different ways that you handle membership and things like that. So that's one other reason why we don't have a hold harmless agreement. But if you give me the local attorney, he can kind of see what you're going there, what you have there, and kind of help you put one together. Make sure that your employees are trained on all the chemicals that you're using there, and that you're trained on all the equipment that they're using there as well. So, the other question is, there a sample hold home harmless in the RSO manual? I guess that's the range safety officer manual. I do not know for sure, but you can call the Education and Training Division. You can call and talk to Richard Sheehan. He would probably be able to be one of the first ones to let you know. Or you can call Mark Richardson. Mark Richardson's number is 703-267-1428, or Richard Sheehan's number is 703-267-1391. That's 703-267-1391 and 703-267-1428. So we're going to move on into the standard operating procedures, which is very important to have, that all employees and volunteers that work there know where to go and be able to see this. It should be a living and breathing document as you changes or implement things. As you talk, where it shows that they, all responsible for each employee, what their responsibilities are. So if somebody has to step in for somebody else because they're sick, they can go right to that and be able to see what to do. Same thing, the medical test. How are you going to test them? Who's getting tested? Where are they going to get tested? And maintaining those medical files, and where those files are maintained by the owner, or by the club president or the secretary or whoever maintains it. Same thing with the procedures for your letter of reclamation, your sound testing, your environmental stewardship plans, even your hearing test. All those things should be a part of that. How often you're going to do it, where you're going to have it done, and as you change, facilities or doctors or whatever, you can you can improve on those things. Having the procedures and processes for Shooters, by the time they arrive, where they go, how they get there, what they have to have, and by the time they leave, how do they leave the range? Where do they, drop off equipment or targets or brass or whatever it may be that's specific to your actual club or your range. That all those procedures need to be in there so that how the employees know exactly what's going on and what they need to be doing and where people should be and not should be. The other thing is that you may need to train your employees. Maybe you have a new ranger approved. Maybe you have a new shooting discipline. You want to make sure that they're aware of what people can and can't do, where they can go, where they can't go, where they can walk and not walk, and any type of instructor certification program you might have. So you want to make sure that you let the patrons or let the community know that, hey, you might have to shut down the range for a day, or you may have to shut down the range for a couple hours, and that way they know. And what kind of goes us into the preparing and planning of tasks. We have some low-level preparation planning, some ordinary, and some high-level. The low-level is basically what you do on a day-to-day basis, grass cutting, garden flower beds, things like that, how you're going to remove the brass and trash from the range and around your property, wiping down your surfaces like we talked about with the cleaning, things like that, and how people are going to clean their hands and where they're going to clean their hands. Are they going to be able to clean their firearms there on the property or off the property? Putting back any of the storage to make sure they're clean and everything's prepped for the very next day. You want it the same way each time, so everything's ready to go whenever a actual patron or a new shooter comes on. It looks the same way each and every day, each and every time. That shows the professionalism you have. Make sure that they do all the proper necessary paperwork that day. And then they have it already prepared for all the shooters that came in, or new shooters, or maybe they had a new home harness and a whole new, safety briefing for the safety rules or whatever. And they just, what their close of business procedures are going to be. Ordinary levels, basically, your range safety officer, the scheduling for the employees, the scheduling the range safety officers, proper plan for that, for time off or vacations, things like that, as you know. Scheduling, whenever you're going to do the lead recycle, how's that supposed to play out? Does it affect 2 or 3 employees, or does it affect the whole? Does it affect the whole range? What, who does it involve? Does somebody have to get a special truck to come over, or do you have to call these people to come 3 days ahead of time? That's the kind of scheduling and allocated time that you need to make sure that everybody understands and kind of prepare for it and plan for those. Target and maintenance, carriage maintenance for your carriages on your targets. How often are you going to go out there and fix it and maintain it? How often are you going to go out there and lubricate it? Things like that if you have carriages, stuff like that. Same thing, scheduling repairs and maintenance. You may have some lights go down, or you may have a sound mic go down, and you have to go out and do some maintenance. And how often are you going to do the maintenance on them to make sure that rounds are not going where they're not supposed to be, or your safety area that you have set up, so and your berm is set up that it's preventing things from hitting your carriages, and you may have to go back there and do some more some more earth moving to make sure it still maintains that. And make sure that if you're going to do those training, you're going to do those things, that you put that out to the public and they know what's going on, and that it keeps a minimum of time away from the shooters being able to go on your club, or memberships go on your club, and those things. The high level is basically upgrading or do major improvements to your range. What are the employees going to do during that time? Are they going to be assisting? Are they going to be doing other things and painting up the the actual club itself while they're out there doing the ranges, so everything looks pristine when they come back out? How often, planning for the preparation of that lead reclamation. You may have be down for a week or 2 weeks or a month, depending on how long it is or how much you have to reclamate, that you'll work out with that company coming in to do that. And what's going to go on? Are they going to have shooting over in one area while they reclamate this area? All those different things, who's it going to affect, and how many RSOs is it going to affect? All those different things you need to prepare and plan for.
How many lanes you might lose during that time, of use switching back and forth between,
the different ranges. You're absolutely right. You know, you might have to implement a new shooting sport. So all the employees need to know what that new sport is, what consists of it, so that way they know where all the patrons and members are supposed to be and not supposed to be while they're actually training and shooting. What makes it safe, and where the firearms or muzzles are down, and where they can start engaging and not engaging, different things like that. They need to know those things. The conduct or error sound level testing, how's it going to affect? Is he going to do it at different times while they're firing, because you need to hear different types of firearms going off at different times, in the day, in the morning, and all that. The sound travels at different times, at different air qualities, when it's light out, when it's sunny out, when it's cloudy out. All those different things affect the sound level and the sound amplification. You might conduct a VIP tour, or, invite your local community commissioners or your governor or whatever to come out to your range, and that's all going to take a planning and who's going to task with what to do during things as they're going through the range and shooting on the range, and maybe they're borrowing the firearms from the range or whatever it may be. So you just need to make sure that you plan properly and who's tasked with each one. So we kind of covered the community relationships, some health and safety standards, the program events for promoting, having a good safety plan. Make sure you cover all the standard operating procedures and people know where they can go to see those procedures at any time, and then how to deal with preparing and planning for tasks. If you have any other questions, please feel free to give us a call. If you're more interested about development of the ranges, we have a range development and operation conference that's going in Cincinnati, Ohio, September 20th through the 23rd. It's $475. We only allow 100 seats, the capacity for that. If you're unable to attend, we do have a range development operations online course that is for $300, and it is open for 30 days. You could probably get through it if you did, maybe a couple hours a day, 7 to 10 days straight. But pretty much it'll take you about 20 days to 30 days to get through it all. And each one of them, you get a range source book CD version that's free with the actual complement of going to their actual conference or completing the online course. You can contact me at any time. My number is right there, 703-267-1278, or you can email me at jlytle@nrahq.org.
You can also contact me, Eric Whitescarver, Senior Coordinator of Range Services, at 703-267-1279, or email me at ewhitescarver@nrahq.org. One of the things I wanted to emphasize about the Range Development and Operations Conference first is that a lot of I just want to get the word out there so that people understand the value of the training at this conference. First of all, you have some incredible networking that takes place. You're going to meet some of the top minds in the industry. The Vendors Day that we have there is much different than what we've done in the past, where simply there was vendors there that night and they were able to hold a banquet and a little expo for you on that day. Now we have them set up early in the morning and you have access to them all day. And don't be confused. This doesn't make it about making sales. This is about the training and about coming to learn about shooting ranges and about developing shooting ranges. The vendors are simply there as a tool for you to go to and use and to learn about what products and new technologies are available. And there's no place else that you're going to be able to do this and get the training at the same time. It's a really unique environment, a really unique time to learn a lot of things that even if you've spent years on shooting ranges, I myself have been a shooter growing up, and then in the military and the special operations. And when I had come here myself and went to my first range development and operations conference, it blew my mind. It was really an eye-opener to see how much I didn't know, and that's coming from someone who spent their life on shooting ranges. So I just wanted to put that out there so that you guys can hear that firsthand. I also wanted to mention about the Range Technical Team Advisor Program. I wanted to let you guys know that if you have a shooting range, if you're starting a shooting range, if you would like to know that you're developing your shooting range properly or have developed your shooting range properly, this is a great way to do it. The RTTA, or Range Technical Team Advisor program, is nationwide. We have advisors. We do advising in all of the states, including Hawaii and Alaska. You'll want to contact us here at headquarters through the numbers that are available and the emails that we've made available. And also, if you go online to nrahq.org/shooting range, that's nrahq.org/shooting range, that'll take you to the Range Services page, right to the Range Services page of the headquarters website. And once you're there, if you look to the left, you'll see open a range case or range technical team. If you click on either one of those, if you click on the range technical team, you'll be able to read a little bit more about the program. But basically what it is we come out to the range, we send an advisor to come out to the range and do a full evaluation of the facility. We will do a basic safety and health evaluation, the design of the facility, make sure it has proper backstops and side berms. Let me be clear though, we're not an enforcement agency by any means. We're strictly there to help. Anybody who has us come out to the facility will be kept completely confidential. We have a very strict confidential policy. We have a very strict one point of contact policy. So when you put on the request form, which to get this, you have to go through the request form process, that is there to protect you. You'll want to put a trusted employee or officer on that as the point of contact, because they will basically have the power to control what takes place on the visit. Once we do the visit, we put together a full report for you, which will detail any suggestions that we have. I just wanted to put that out there and let you guys know. The cost is $300 for non-affiliated clubs and ranges, and $250 for ranges, clubs, and that are affiliated and do have either affiliated range or business alliance.
Eric, will
So one thing is
an
that whenever you do
RTTA
have
come out to a law enforcement range, like a range with that's owned by law enforcement?
Yes, we can. We can come out there as long as we have authority by the owner of the actual property, whether that's the city or if it's a personal owner. We need to have the actual authority by the actual owner itself.
I just wanted to point out also, when you invite the RTTA, when the visit takes place, we want to, he's not coming out there to teach a class or to give a speech or anything like that. He's coming out there to do the evaluation. So we'd like to ask that no more than 3 people be there to accompany him. You know, as few as possible, even if it can just be one person. But if there are 3 people that really need to know the information to get to the rest of the club, that would really is like what we like to see as a limit. The report that we like to take 30 to 90 days to complete the evaluation and report, because we do handle a large number of cases throughout the year, and we are dealing with a limited staff to deal with the large number of range cases.
We do have a question here. What's some of the best product to put down on the flooring material? It says ours is 16 years old and has had polyethylene epoxy over heated slab, and it chips and cracks with all the expanding brass, and it needs to be resurfaced flooring. Need to know the best product for flooring use. And what do you think there, Eric? Do you have an idea right off the top of your head? What's the best, probably one of the products? I know you need to have a sealed actual concrete. That there are different types of products out there, but you definitely want to make sure that your cement is sealed.
And I will say it's common to have to patch the flooring. Even here at our range, when we get the divots from the projectiles and from different things, you will have to patch that. It's inevitable. It's part of maintenance and upkeep.
I can tell you also that if you look in the back of the range source book in section 4, there are some different vendors back there that you can actually call and contact them and ask them what are some of the basic products that are out there now. If you want to go ahead and shoot me an email at the jlytle@nrahq.org or Eric E. Weitzcarver at nrahq.org, we could probably get you connected with some of the other products that are out there that we just don't have it off the top of our head right now. There's another question. Is there an indoor range competition program? We have 10 lanes and about 20 yards of distance.
Any competition questions, definitely I'm going to have to refer to NRA competitive shooting department. If you contact me, I can give you the information for that. I don't have their number in front of me or anything at this time, but that would be the NRA competitive shooting department would have all the questions answered for those things like that.
And another thing, being that you have 20 yards of distance, you might want to get with Nathan Judd. Nathan Judd has the air rifle and 3-gun with Samantha Olsen. So you can get with Samantha Olsen or Nathan Judd on those things, and they might be able to get some type of competition going for you. If you get J, it'd be NJUDD, Nathan Judd, so it'd be njudd at nrahq.org, or you could do SOLSEN at nrahq.org for Samantha Olsen. They could probably get something going for you with the kids and things like that for some type of competition, 3-gun or whatever, or the air rifle and the small bore going on. Maybe even you get with competitions, and the small bore could probably get something going with you. Like I say, contact Eric on that, and he can definitely get you linked up with the competitions department up there.
Absolutely.
Are there any other questions?
Thanks for your presentation. We have a few minutes left. If anyone has any other questions that they want to ask or they need more information on, or something that went unanswered and they're unclear of, but this presentation will be put on our website for you guys to view again in the next few days. Check out the clubs and associations website at clubs.nra.org. All past webinars will be posted online for you guys to view. So if you guys want to review this one or look at any other webinar topics that we've did this past year, please go to our website. All right, so our floor is open for any other questions at this time, and we'll stick around for another few minutes.
I did want to say, back to the discussing the Range Technical Team Advisor Program, of course I'm going to be a big advocate of the program. It's the program that I coordinate. But I just wanted to put out there that these highly trained range advisors are volunteers. They're people who have experience in the field, and then come to us, and they put in an application, and we select the applicant, or we select our candidates from those applicants, and we try to get grants for them to go from the different state associations. That's a whole nother process. But I wanted to put out there, if you are interested in working with us and volunteering your time to become a range technical team advisor, and you have time to go through the training. We do the training once a year towards the end of the year, or it takes 6 days, 7 days with the travel. That is what we need to train you to become an RTTA or Range Technical Team Advisor. And we're always looking for good people out there in all the states. We have another question here. It says, are there any grants for law enforcement ranges?
Well, the law enforcement department does have a way they can help law enforcement get grants and help them develop their ranges. And I would call Eric Lipp. It's ELIPP at nrahq.org, and he would be able to fill you in on most of those items or the qualifications for those things. The other thing is there's different things that if you go on to the Friends of NRA website, they have some qualifications, and they also offer some grants for different things that you can have at your ranges as well. I would definitely look into that. If you're building a range, or you have a range that it's on at the 501, or if it's city, county, state, federal land, and you're trying to do some improvements, or you're trying to develop one, definitely look into our public range fund. That's on our website that Eric already gave you before. That you can go on there and look at the criteria and fill out and go ahead and submit an application that way as well.
We have another question here. It says, regarding safety, what are the rules regarding reloaded ammo? Can ranges allow shooters to shoot reloads, and can ranges sell reloads to customers? First, I'll take the can they shoot reloads? Absolutely. A matter of fact, a lot of the competitive shooters on some of the larger ranges, high-powered shooters, use reloads only. And so you would be cutting out that whole group of people to not let them use reloads. And I find that you would have to inspect each round that came into the range to not allow reloads. So I would say it's okay to use reloads. As far as selling reloads, I don't believe the NRA has a stand on selling or not selling. I would be careful about buying reloads from people, but I don't think we have an opinion on selling reloads or not selling them. But yes, you should allow reloads on your range, and that's becoming a more popular way to stay in ammunition at this time as well.
And the other thing that caveat off of what Eric said is I would get with your insurance company for your range, and maybe they can tell you if you should go into that realm of selling reload ammo or not. We do have another question. This is, are there grants available for opening new ranges? There are grants, the public range grants. Like I said, you have to look on the qualifications and make sure you meet them. We do have a couple of grants still left open for this year, and then it'll come back again in January once we depend on how much money we get funded for that. If you are an NRA affiliated club, as I'm sure Son will tell you in a few minutes, they have the range grant, which is up to $5,000 to be able to, and that closes on August 1st.
Yeah, but the range grant, I believe, is for safety and development of existing ranges, but not for if they want to open a brand new range, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Correct. As far as opening new ranges, those grants are for nonprofit and public facilities. So they have to be nonprofit facilities, and they have to be open to the public as well. And usually that involves being involved with the county on some level, because you're opening up a public park, more or less. There just happens to be shooting at the public park.
And there's also ways that you can get into a small business loan of 5A or 7A, or you can and get with your local bank. The other thing is that you can get with partners and group and go into, incorporate and do an LLC for each other to open up a range as well. There's another question that says, did you say that outdoor rangers are required to do air monitoring for workers? No, I wasn't saying for air monitoring for workers. I was saying that just like an indoor range, they do air quality tests to make sure that the dust and the particulates are disseminated, as you were. I can't even think the word off the top of my head, but it's actually that the particulates are actually going out through the air quality as it's leaving the range, and it's not a hazard to the people that are in there breathing it. So they're actually doing the same thing for outdoor ranges. If there's like it's range particular, because it could be where there's a concentrated area, depending on if there's a lot of grass or whatever it may be, that it's holding some of the dust. So they're asking to do air quality tests in different ways around. So just be aware of that and be conscious of that.
The next question says, does the NRA offer a list of recommended minimum requirements for a safe outdoor range design? And actually, we have, for not just outdoor, but for all of the shooting disciplines, the NRA range source book is color coordinated and tabbed and full of information regarding proper range design. A matter of fact, it is what we base our evaluations in the RTTA program. When the range technical team advisor comes out, the information he's using to decide whether or not the different things are done properly, his guidelines are those from the range source book. And the range source book gets updated every couple years. We're working on another update now, and but it won't be out this year, so don't hesitate to pick up a range source book so that you have the guidelines at your disposal and you're able to use them. Also, in the back of the range source book is the vendor's list, as John pointed out earlier, which is full of, I consider it a shooting range yellow pages, if you would. Where it has all of the different services and products that are out. And these are reputable companies. These are companies that we work with that are trustworthy companies. There's a lot of fly-by-night stuff going on out there. There's a lot of people that say they want to help, and we won't get into. But the bottom line is, if you want trustworthy people working on your range, the vendors list is really the only place to go. You can order a copy of the range source book by calling 1-800-336-7402. That's 1-800-336-7402. And they'll be able to, you can order a copy of the range source book. The source book at this time is priced at $59.95, and you can also order it on CD for $19.95. I also wanted to put out there about ordering the source book. When we made the CD originally, it was to give portable access, and also we were hoping to give a less expensive access to the information. However, I find a lot of people really like having the book because the information is more easily accessed, It is easier to find. Like I said, it's color coordinated and tabbed, and it allows you to find the information faster.
All right. Thanks, Eric. All right, folks, that's all the time that we have for today for our webinar. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Please jot down John and Eric's information real quick, contact information, if you have any other questions that they can address. Please go back, visit our website, clubs.nra.org, for all information on any future webinars that we'll have. Thanks, folks.